So we never set out to start a commercial cleaning company. My husband works tirelessly. He's always had a full-time job and side jobs on the side to support our family. And I've always wanted to be with my children as much as possible. They're 3 and 7. And so I've always done side work as well, whether it was waitressing, catering. I drove a school bus prior to starting our company. So any kind of mom job that I could do late in the evenings or early mornings or be able to bring my children. COVID had shut a lot of businesses down. Um, at this time, my husband was doing a side job, doing security at a bar at night, and they were reopening. And he ended up asking the manager that when they opened up, if we could take over the cleaning contract because it had been about a year since they had closed due to COVID. And so the cleaners were no longer there. And so they agreed. We set on a price, and they were going to be opening up in a month at the time. So that was one thing. We had a bunch of things going on at the same time. We had that coming in. But then prior to that, after we knew, we were like, hey, we got something going here. Why don't we advertise to our friends and family on Facebook that we're in the cleaning business now? So we put a post out saying that if anyone worked at a restaurant, that we were looking for restaurant cleaning jobs. So we got in touch with somebody we knew for a job, and we gave a quote, and we got that job. So things kind of snowballed quickly for us. And so we started that job. And I think we learned pretty quickly a lot of lessons in business. This job was way too big. We did not price it right. And we ended up giving this job up in that month. We finished the month and we
You're like, no
left
thanks.
it. It was we learned a valuable lesson real quickly that how to price jobs accordingly. It was just way too big for the price. We thought it was great money, but it didn't work out.
Okay.
So from there, we went into the other job, and then we quickly kind of just started getting more jobs from there.
Okay, I want to definitely get into these bids and pricing and figuring out, well, what is this really going to take to be worthwhile? But take me back to this bar. Hey, can we take
Yeah.
over your cleaning contract? Any experience cleaning at that point? This was just like out of the blue. I know this is something that this customer that this bar is going to need, so I'm going to raise my hand and say, yeah, we could do that.
I hadn't had any cleaning experience prior, but my husband had worked in restaurants previously.
Okay.
So he kind of understood the cleaning process and the cleaners that would come in at night. And he also did a little bit of janitorial work at one point. So he had a little bit more of an understanding than I did.
Okay.
But it was a big undertaking, and it was a big risk to take it on. But it somehow worked out, and here we are today. So
How did you end up
um,
pricing that one? That was the one that stuck, yeah?
So to price it, I did a lot of research myself, really mainly YouTube, just looking things up on how to price a job accordingly. In our case, it would technically be a standard clean, where we would do the bathrooms, the floors, sanitizing handles, doorknobs, things like that, and just eyeballing how long it would take us. From there, I would set a price by thinking about what I would want to pay somebody as an hourly rate and then doubling that. So anything I would pay someone, I'm going to double that. And that would be our price.
Was there an hourly rate that you were shooting for?
Yeah. So for us, we pay our employees, I think, very, very well. I pay our hourly employees about $20 to $30 an hour. So for this specific job, it was a 3-hour job. So I say it's going to be $60. I'm going to charge double that for the price per night.
Okay, so you're thinking it's going to cost me $60 on the low end to have a
Yes.
cleaner come in and get this done, and so I need to and then I need to double that to have margin. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it came out to what we settled on for that job, I think, was about $140 a night, for that first job.
And then was it on a monthly contract? A weekly
So
contract? How did you
it
do
was
that?
a monthly contract, so that was a big, adjustment to us, so we really had to strategize, "Okay, well, we have to go a full month without getting paid and providing the service," and then so we kinda went into all these jobs, the new ones where this would happen, trying to do it ourselves for as long as we could until we could find somebody to get in there to help us in order to get
Okay.
another job. So for this one, yeah, so I really needed to figure that I'm not gonna get paid probably for 6 weeks because 'cause I'm gonna bill them at the end of the month, and then I need to factor in that it's gonna take, within 10 days, hopefully, that they'll send me a check.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully they hopefully they still decide that they want to pay you after putting in a month's
Yep.
worth of labor.
And we have experienced that, those late payments, so we know how that feels.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try and do some quick math on that. So that was that a 5, 7 day a week deal?
So that one came and went. They had some issues with staffing on their end, so, um, I was a little bit of an iffy job because they kinda were closing and opening, so it just wasn't a set thing.
Okay.
Um, that job did end at some point because they actually closed a couple months later, um but from there, they owned a property across the street. And so those we were able to get that job after, and that we're currently still at that job. And that is a 6-day a week job.
Okay. Similarly priced?
Similarly priced, yes, and
Okay.
similar hours. Yeah.
Yeah, so now we're at $800 a week. Call it, call it 3 grand a month.
Yeah.
Doesn't take a lot. Uh, doesn't take a lot of customers if you're doing this every night, and
No.
to start
No.
to see the revenue add up, and so that's
Yep.
helpful to
I
see.
I think it's important and to just price accordingly and we're really big on making sure we're gonna pay our employees well because we are busy being parents on top
Yeah,
of my husband still has his daytime job. And I think it's really important. We want to keep our employees happy and we want to have at we don't want to have a lot of employee turnover because it kind of interferes with us, in the sense that if somebody doesn't show up, we're still the ones to go in and cover them. So we really want to make it work for our employees, and so we want to price accordingly to that.
yeah. I'm imagining some equipment startup costs. Anything else that you
Yeah,
went in to fund the business aside from this month of upfront labor?
we went in with what's great about this industry is that you really can go in with very little money. The only thing we needed was a good vacuum, which costs about $500. So we invested in a vacuum and some cleaning products. We just went to Home Depot and picked up a couple cleaning products, Windex, floor cleaner, multi cleaner spray.
Yeah.
And what's great about the restaurants is that they have a lot of the stuff there as well. They provide a lot of the chemicals already. So we in a mop station, mop bucket, and everything like that. So we really
Okay.
just had to bring in a few supplies.
Okay. So very low startup costs
Hmm.
at the beginning. What attracted you to commercial customers? Restaurants, bars versus um, like residential cleaning, which is covered on the podcast a handful of times.
I didn't really feel comfortable going into residential. I don't want the liability really of it because I know for myself. First of all, I mean, I lose my keys on a daily basis, probably like 5 times a day. So when I think of someone going in, I'm going to send an employee of mine to a house. What's the first thing I think people do when something gets lost and you have a cleaner? You're going to ask the cleaner, "Did you find something?" Or I don't want to put people in a situation to be accused of something that maybe they didn't
Okay.
do or did do. I don't know.
Sure.
I just don't want to really. I didn't feel comfortable going into the the residential area.
Okay. Plus, it seems like, well, maybe a residential clean is once a week at best, once every couple weeks, once a month,
Yeah.
versus these guys like, hey, I need
Yes.
you here every night.
Yeah. So I think that too. I think the workload is pretty straightforward with commercial. You're going to go into the same building, and I think it's a little more structured in that sense. The steps you're doing every time you go there.
Yeah. So were you going in after hours? Do they give you a key to the building, a key to get in? How did that part
They
work?
they do. So they give us a key, and to make it work for us, we wanted to be home with our kids as much as possible. So we really looked for those jobs in the beginning that were after hours. So going in at 9 or 10 o'clock at night after the restaurant closed, and cleaning on from there. So it was
Okay.
mainly a night job um, at first that we were looking for.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then starting with your friends and family, starting with your existing
Hmm.
network, like who did you already know? Well, we already knew the owner of this bar. Turns out some colleagues of ours on Facebook either worked at this other restaurant or knew somebody who did, right? Like a foot in the door, it sounds like,
Exactly.
to
Yes.
make these next connections, which is how a
Hmm.
lot of businesses start. Like, you got to raise your hand, say, hey, we're in the cleaning business. Hey, we do pooper scooper. Hey, we do pressure
Yeah.
washing. Hey, we do whatever it is. Hey, we do freelance writing, whatever it is. And it kind of spiders out from there. What maybe so take me into month 2, month 3, month 4 of like, okay, what's going on? How are we signing up new customers at this point?
So from there, after kind of exhausting friends and family on just posting online through Facebook, we I joined Angie's List, and that had been a really big help for us. A friend had mentioned it. That's in the tree service, and he said he got a lot of clients from there. So I figured I'd try it.
Okay,
And it is, I think that was probably our biggest startup cost just to start it. It was couple $100. So that was the first thing we really kind of invested in to find jobs. And then from there they send you leads, and then they charge you per lead. So we got a decent amount of leads with Angie's List, and many of them we still have currently today. So I do think it's a great option for people who are getting in the business and just don't really know where to find to find leads, or maybe don't have the time to go in um, physically and advertise your business to stores
okay.
or any commercial space.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've heard from business owners
Yeah.
who love Angie's List and business owners who
Yeah.
hate it, and so it's okay. So a little bit
So
of a joining fee to like just be listed in the directory, and then if you
yeah.
want their leads, you're gonna say, okay, we're gonna. What do they charge you to send a qualified lead over?
So they do charge a good amount. So it's about 40 to $70 range I've been charged per lead. So I actually as of last week, and I did pause it. So and I guess you're able to pause it for a certain amount of months because we're very busy with our customers right now. So I really
Yeah.
wanted to put a hold on it, because all of a sudden you get the bill at the end of the month and you're like, wow, I'm really, going through my money here, and you're not really always following up on all the leads.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at just the $40, $50 sounds like a really, as long as it's a qualified lead, as long as it's somebody in your target
Yes.
market, you're like, yes, I
Yes.
can knock this job
Yeah.
out of the park. For the lifetime value that you're describing of somebody who's going to need nightly cleaning and probably going to need it for months and months and months, like they stick around for a long time,
Yes.
like that's fantastic ROI if you can land that job. But
If
they're
you
also
can
selling
go
that lead
after
to
it,
half a dozen other commercial cleaners on the site.
exactly. It can get costly pretty quickly, especially for example, right now for me, not being able to follow up with all those leads. So now
Right.
it's like I'm just throwing my money away. And
Yeah.
it was great when I was ready to go and get all the leads, but
Hmm.
I'm just trying so it has its pros and cons for sure.
Okay. Let's say a lead comes in. What's a typical, and you have the capacity to deal with it. What's a
Mhm.
typical process and what happens after that?
Oh, so for me, I'm a big emailer. So I'll shoot them and I'll get their information and I'll send them an email. And I'll just say, hi, I saw that you were looking maybe to have a cleaning company come into your business. And maybe I can set up a time with you to come by and give you a quote. I just keep it pretty short and simple. And I provide my information, my phone number, and they can reach me anytime. And then if they don't because not everybody really is on top of email. So if they don't do that, then maybe I'll follow up with a phone call if they provide the phone number. So that's kind of how we start. And then if they get back to me, then I try to, within that week, really set up a time to get by and take a look at the job because most likely there's going to be other companies trying to get out there and look at the job as well. So I try my best to get in as soon as possible with people to give them a quote.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. You said, "Oh, I'm going to lead with email." Would have figured, "Hey, man, if they left a phone number, that's a hot lead. I gotta be one of the first people to call them."
It's a mix for me. I like to get in there on the email, but if I don't hear anything, then I'll probably give them a call.
Okay, fair enough. And so then you go out and you quote the job. You follow this process. Well, estimating, I think it's going to take 3 hours. They're looking for somebody 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week, whatever it may be,
Hmm.
and then you multiply that times your double X multiple, and then you throw that out as a quote. It's like a monthly price.
Yes. So that's pretty much the basic how I quote. But I will say it varies from the frequency of the job. So if there's a job that's going to be once a week or bi-weekly, I might price that a little differently than it were to be a 5 or 6 day a week job. I might give that 5 or 6 day a week job a little bit of a discount per night because of the frequency of being there to clean, mainly because you're keeping up with the space and they're giving you pretty good business. So
Yeah,
I might try to discount there versus those weekly and bi-weekly cleanings. I'll charge a little more for that.
that makes sense. There's only so much you can miss. I was just here last night versus
Yeah,
what
exactly.
happened over the course of a
Yeah.
week or two of not being
Yeah.
there. Did you
Yes.
find, or have you found that companies that are reaching out for quotes are uh, how are they solving this problem currently? Are they just unhappy with their current provider? Were they doing it themselves? Are they new businesses? Like, who are you who are you displacing in getting new work?
It's a bit of a mix, I'd say. So we have had someone came that they don't currently like their provider. And so I really tried to ask if they're willing to, give me the information. Some people are very, they don't really want to give you too much because
Sure.
at the end of the day, you're selling them something. So some people can be a little reserved, but I also need to know, well, what are your issues? Because I want to make sure if I take you on, I'm going to cover those for you. So
Yeah.
there's that, and then there are those that, like I said, when we started, we got in at a pretty good time because a lot of places had been closed due to COVID. So when we got in, a lot of people just, the cleaners didn't come back or they had to get in touch with them. And so
Okay.
their contracts were kind of ended. So it's a mix out there of what's going on.
Okay. On the I was just curious because on the residential side, you can kind of look at the data over the last generation and say like, well, more people are
Hmm.
hiring cleaners today. The pie just keeps getting bigger, and so you're not
It does.
necessarily trying to conquest market share for somebody else. But I figured like, well, in the
Hmm.
commercial space, they probably already are. They may already have a providers. I'm just was curious about that.
So one thing I actually try to do is I'll bring business cards with me wherever I go, and so we'll make a habit of going out to eat at different places because we do still service a lot of restaurants, and I can pretty much now look around and see if their cleaners are doing well or not, mainly by looking at the floor or the baseboards or things like that. Their cobwebs in the corner.
Yeah,
So if I feel that maybe there is something that maybe they're not very happy with their cleaners, I'll go and leave a business card with the manager and say, hi, if you ever are looking for a cleaner, I own a cleaning company and here's my card. And I make it brief and I'll walk out.
yeah.
So. It's just a little.
Try not to tell them, hey, your place is a dump. You ought to call me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But
Or
that's
like
one
the
tactic I'll use.
Yelp keyword search for dirty or something and see
Yeah.
what shows up. Like, hey, I saw people were
Yeah.
flaming you out for less than cleanliness. Okay. Um, on Angie's List, are you collecting or soliciting reviews in any way, like on that platform?
So I'm not great with that. I have reached out to a couple people and I think I have like one review on there. So but I'm not good. I'm getting into that, the benefit of having reviews, right? So
Okay.
I hadn't really had that before.
Anything else on the local marketing front? Google My Business, Yelp. What else would be like Yellow Pages, like local pages?
Well, no, not so much, but Matt, who has been a guest on your show, he actually, when I spoke with him, he basically told me how to get the Google reviews on your business, which I didn't even know I hadn't had any. And so he helped me. He told me how to send them to clients, for them to be able to review your business, and it'll go right up on that page when people search for you on Google.
Yeah.
So I've recently been sending that to current clients of mine, to hopefully get up put up some stars up there for me.
Yeah, and it may not take that many. This is Matt Rowell who connected us.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matt with his knife sharpening business. And last we spoke, he had over 100 Google My Business reviews for his local knife sharpening business, which is, the next closest competitor might have three or something. Like, it may not take that many,
Yeah.
but it's just like so far head and shoulders above the rest where it's like, clearly this is the guy. I got to hire him.
Yes.
And so it's the
Yeah,
same thing. Plus,
absolutely.
shows up really well for any sort of local search query on any related keywords. So I think that's definitely a powerful way to go for local search. I
Yeah.
was going to ask anything else on the marketing side, anything that you have found taking it from, one to two customers up to, I don't know, where are you at today in terms of the client roster?
So currently we have about 12 clients. We've serviced about 30 clients. Some were one-time jobs, some have left, all for nothing on our end. But just it was very maybe once a week cleaning, bi-weekly. It was kind of something that maybe they could take on their own.
Okay.
But to add on to more clients, we really were just following up with the Angie's List. We got a lot of clients from there. And then another thing that I did, I'll get on Facebook community pages locally, and I believe some of them have certain rules of what you can post. So I think one, like my local community, I can post a business post once a week. So I would get on there and just and advertise on there. Um, so that's one way we've gotten a lot of clients as well. And then for some clients I have that might have certain locations, or I might know that this person owns this other property close by, I might reach out and email that other person, manager at the other company that's fairly local or within our service range, and send them an email. And I've received leads and jobs from that as well.
Yeah, I always think of that as a missed opportunity when I see service providers parked around the neighborhood. It's like, you're already here, come knock on the
Yeah.
door, come drop a flyer off.
Yes.
My neighbor already trusts you. So that's
Yes.
already a leg up. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So kind of
Yeah.
canvassing the neighborhood while you're out on jobs, although it's a little bit tougher when
Yes.
it's after hours, but trying to find
Yes.
those decision makers. Let's
Yes.
talk about the fulfillment side of things because now with 12 recurring
Sure.
clients, put the kids to bed. There's no way you can do all these yourselves anymore. It's now trying to matter
No.
of trying to find qualified people to help out who are looking for a similar nighttime side hustle. I imagine in a lot of
Mhm.
cases. But talk to me on the hiring side or the fulfillment side.
Sure. So, same thing again, with using just social media networks to find maybe some friends or family that were looking for work. I've have some people working with us now that I I know. And then I've used Indeed a lot to get our candidates, and a lot of people. We have actually two people onboarding with us this week from Indeed. So I've gotten some really good candidates on Indeed. So that's what we're using right now.
Okay. I mean, everybody's having a hard time filling positions, really low unemployment numbers.
Yes.
What do you think makes this gig stand out?
I think our pay, like I said, we want to treat our employees well, and we expect them to, in doing that, we want them to work the best. So and we want them to stay with us. We want to build a relationship with them, and hope they last with us for a while. So um I think that with us, it's the schedule. A lot of the jobs are about 2 to 3 hours. And I let people kind of pick and choose really what they want to do. So if I have a big opening, um, I'm flexible with them, and then I'll fill in the space elsewhere with somebody else. Currently, I think what I'm trying to do is when I get a job in a certain area, I want to fill that. I want to do my best to try to find other jobs close by. And so then I can hire somebody full time with me and basically service those areas in that specific location. Um, but yeah, I think we we have great employees, and I think that they appreciate the pay, and we we have a pretty good employee low employee turnover rate, which is what I'm trying to say. So I
Yeah,
think we're doing something right.
you must be. I mean, turnover is expensive. If you can get people
It
on
is.
for the long term, that's
Yes.
great. Do you find that people are just looking for that, 2 or 3 hour consistent gig in the evening, or they're like, look, you got more hours, send them my way?
So currently, yes. So we're always pushing to find new jobs because a lot of our employees are looking for more work. So it incentivizes us to really get out there and find more work. So currently, we have employees that are working full time, 5 to 6 days a week at these night jobs that are 2 to 3 hours. Um, and then I also have some of the little side jobs that they would take on as well. Um, Something that we haven't discussed, that I guess it's just I get this stems back from using the Facebook community page. Somebody reached out to me on there, and this was a job for housekeeping for assisted living facility. And at the time, we were probably about 5 months into our business, and we almost turned it down. We were like, we don't know anything about housekeeping, but let me get back to you. And we asked a few people that were employed with us currently if they
Okay.
were interested, and they had a housekeeping background. And so we ended up taking that job on. And so we currently have housekeeping temps at certain facilities for this company. And that's probably been our biggest money making, um, something that we almost turned down has turned into a great, I guess I'm not sure how to word it, but
Yeah.
part,
Yeah, but
but
being open to the opportunities and
that's what I'm trying to say. So
uh,
yeah, so being open to the opportunities of, I guess with what we've learned with business, that it can pull you in so many different directions, and maybe you don't necessarily do that at the moment, but you might be able to fill that role. And now that's a whole other business that we're kind of playing around with, getting people, because people are really desperate for housekeepers in these big facilities, that we were able to fill that for them. And we still have two current full-time employees under us working at this facility. And so that's a huge business opportunity, I think, right now, that I'm very glad we took on.
yeah, that's great. It's like, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. Well, that's
Yes.
like the mark of the entrepreneur. Like, I'm not sure about that, but I'm sure we can figure it out.
Exactly.
we'll build the plane on the way down, as Reid Hoffman would say. So,
Exactly.
um, did you ever run into the issue of you, maybe you bite off more than you could chew in terms of the demand side? Like, you bid on these jobs, one, two, three, and they all say yes. They all say yes. Let's do it. And all of a sudden, you're scrambling on the supply side of the workers to go out and fulfill that work. You're like, well, I could start in a couple weeks. Like, give me a minute. Like, how do you balance that?
Yeah, so that has happened to us. And what happens is we end up going crazy and working ourselves and very little sleep. So that does happen. But I we're comfortable now with we really want to I'll get a job and I basically want to push it out 2 weeks unless it's a job where it depends on the frequency of the job. So if the job's really once a week, I might start the job.
Okay.
I actually really prefer to do that just so I can get a handle on how long it really is gonna take and what I'm gonna expect of someone that's gonna be working for me to do the job. Um, so it's it varies, I'd say.
Okay. And are your workers today, are they set up as contractors, or I mean, you mentioned like some of these are like full-time employees, so I guess maybe not contractors.
So we do have I think we currently have 9 employees. 2 of them are contracted. So for the temporary housekeeping job, those are contracted out. Um And then everybody else is on our payroll. So we use ADP for payroll. And I currently do all of our payroll with that. But I think I have 3 people currently on full time on our payroll. And then the rest are part time.
Okay. And because you have recurring contracts, it's less stressful to have
Hmm.
people on on full-time payroll or even part-time
It
payroll.
is. It
Uh,
is.
okay. So you mentioned ADP payroll. We've had Gusto as a sponsor of the show in the past for small business payroll providers. Um, Anything else on like the tools and tech side, especially like managing different people's schedules and like who's going where at what time? Like that starts to be a pretty intricate chess game at some point.
It does. So right now I'm using On the Clock. It's an app that I have my employees download and it they know their schedule and I'm able to schedule with that, but it also I use it for a few things. I also want to know someone showed up to the job. Not only is it and it does tell me by GPS location that they clocked in on site and
Okay.
when they left. It's also for security purposes too, especially when I have people going out in the middle of the night to clean. I want to make sure that they made it there safely and left safely.
Yeah. Okay, On the Clock is a new one for me. We've had some friends recommend Jobber as well as
Okay.
I guess like a scheduling administrative stuff for a multi-location, cleaning business, landscaping
Yeah.
business, something where, people are going out into the field and doing work.
Well,
Um,
I'm always looking for new things, so I might have to give it a look.
I don't know if it has I don't know, the GPS element is really an interesting side.
Yeah.
That's cool. Uh, now you teed up this like, well, people are going out late in the night, and I don't want to like get into like anything super crazy or scary, but like
Uh-huh.
anything that has surprised you, or I mean, dealing with people, like things go wrong. I don't know, any crazy stories from
Yeah.
the last last couple of years of doing this?
We did have I was our first per employee we had to terminate, unfortunately, and it was someone that was saying they were going to the job when they weren't, or cutting out short, and so that's really what pushed us to get the app to begin with.
Okay.
So that was our first. We're really upset by it, but that was our first experience with having to fire somebody that wasn't showing up. But
Okay.
other than that, this is kind of just a funny little story. The first job we got, we're in the New England area, so it's old houses, old buildings, all brick. And the bar my husband used to do security at, and that was our first job. They said it was haunted. There was a ghost. So this is a perfect little story in time for Halloween.
Okay.
Um, and so I going into this job, I wouldn't go do it by myself. This is when we were just doing it ourselves. I'm like, I'm not going in this building in the middle of the night by myself. So I'm going to go in the mornings because the job didn't open up till the evening. It was a bar, so it didn't open till 4. So I was able to go early morning to clean.
Okay.
So I went in the morning to clean. And I'm like, this isn't haunted. This is, I don't really believe in that stuff. And so I put my headphones in. I just zoning out to clean, and a huge like meat cleaver fell off this stainless steel shelf and
Oh my
banged on
gosh.
another table, and it was so loud, and I had my headphones on. It was so loud, and it was probably coincidental, but I will say that was probably something that scared me still to this day. So and that was during the day, so that was probably just something
Yeah,
you
I
know
probably would have jumped out of my shoes.
so yeah, that happened, but we're no longer there. They closed, so
All right.
yeah.
Fair enough. So, your husband's still working full time. You're now full time
Yes.
focused on Moonlight Commercial Cleaning. Where's the
Yes.
time going? What's a day in the life for you?
So, day in a life is getting up, getting the kids to school or daycare. I'm still currently home with my son 2 days a week. So, I try to make everything work within those 3 days in the weekend that I have. So, it's bringing kids to school. And then, after, if I'm not doing a cleaning job, which sometimes I'll have a cleaning job during the day, I'm home getting emails checked, checking in with clients. I do all my billing myself. So I use QuickBooks for that. So I invoice any estimates I need to give. Those are done through QuickBooks as well. And then at that point, it's getting the kids home and um, family time. And then if we have to go clean at night, my husband and I will probably take off and go clean at night. And then it's the same thing all over
You have
again pretty
like
much the
grandma and
next
grandpa
day.
come by and make sure the kids are okay.
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
So we're really lucky. So my husband and I have made it work well where we'll switch off on cleaning.
Okay.
Um some jobs we would go together. So we do have Nana around that helps us a lot, and we probably couldn't do it without her.
Okay.
Especially in the beginning. So it really matters to have the help.
Yeah. So it sounds like you have become kind of the, full time, such as it were, balancing, parenting duties, but, the
Mhm.
marketer, the administrator, the, kind of the operations manager here, making sure all the pieces are in the right place, making sure everybody's getting paid, and trying to
Yes.
market and grow this thing, which is a cool place to be. And then still a little bit on the fulfillment side as needed, but really trying to phase that part out.
Yes. So I am the main lady. My husband is great with going, and he'll check in on the job sites. He really is great with checking in with our employees, any issues that might arise, that he needs to be on site for, he'll go and deal with that. So he's really the field guy, and then I'm doing all the operations. But it's starting to get to that point where it really developed, it's not the side hustle anymore, it's the main hustle. So I'm ready to get someone on board to help me take something over, whether it's an assistant or someone who can help me with sales, or someone who can just help, maybe assistant manager position. I think that's probably our next step.
Okay. Yeah. Keep leveling up and
Yeah.
move yourself in a higher level strategy. That's something that I've always struggled with. Like I'm still like down in the weeds in a lot of ways, but getting better at it through practice. Yeah. So maybe bringing on some additional help. What's
Hmm.
next for you guys? Where do you want to take this thing?
So right now, we're at a great position of just managing what we have. So we're not really trying to go and grab all these new jobs at the moment. We're really going to, as of this week, we're giving up pretty much all the cleaning my husband and I have to physically do, and mainly have gotten to the point where we're going to fill that with all of our employees. So that's going to give us a lot more time to start focusing on our marketing, building a brand, um, and, be a little more attentive to employee training. We're actually excited. This weekend, we're going to go off to our first cleaning convention in Chicago. So we're going to fly there and go to our first trade show and hopefully do some
Wow.
networking with us.
I didn't know
Yeah.
there
So
was a
we're really
cleaning
excited.
convention.
The ISSA. Yep. So we're going to go and we're looking for new products, cleaning products. So we're going to go and see what that's all about. So
Okay. Are there
we
like
have a lot in
classes on,
store.
how to grow your business? Like,
There are. So they have a bunch offered. It really is. They have the expo show and stuff. So there's going to be a lot of trying to sell you stuff. But I'm really going for the networking part of it. I think it's important to really um, get in touch with other like minded people in the same industry, or even just advice for anyone that is looking to that started a small business or that is looking to. It's good to just be around other business owners and like minded people.
totally.
um I think you're all kind of doing the same thing and all kind of swimming in the same pool trying to build up, so I think it really helps to have those people in your network.
It absolutely does. Do you know by
Hmm.
chance Ken Carfagno from Smart Cleaning School?
I don't know.
That's the next podcast to put into your earbuds while you're
Okay.
out doing these jobs. Ken's a great guy,
I would
member of the
love
Side
to.
Hustle Nation community for years and years, um, and it's all about you know growing and running a smart cleaning business.
Great. I'd love to hear.
All right. Well, good to shout out. Glad we were able to shout out Ken. MoonlightCommercialCleaning.com. That's where you can find more about Haley and her business. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's wrap this thing up with your number one tip for Side Hustle Nation. Doesn't have to be cleaning related, just whatever entrepreneurial wisdom that you'd like to impart.
I would say stick with it. Be willing to commit a year and just go for it. And don't forget why you started to begin with. I think that's really important to just remember why you started.
What's that driving why for you?
To do family vacations and set up financial stability and live a good life.
Did you ever imagine, a year and a half into it, you'd be having this, now multi six figure run rate business for starting from just this, you know, hey, you mind if we take over your cleaning contract? It just seems like it's been off like a rocket ship.
It's still a surprise to me. We've put in the work, so it shouldn't be, but it has gone fast. And I think having some gratitude every day and being thankful for something every day is really important.
Totally. Well, I am very excited by what you've built and what you'll continue to build. So, Haley, really appreciate you joining me, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you very much, Nick.